When you read today's headlines, it's pretty easy to believe that this world is a cold, scary place full of hatred and pain. It's enough to keep you from wanting to leave the house in the morning. But the truth is, that's not the whole story, not even close. There are everyday heroes all around us who are doing whatever they can to make this world a better place, and I'm excited to get the chance to introduce you to one today, Andrea Shepherd. Did you know you were an everyday hero?
I wouldn't think of it like that.
Which is one of the things I like about you. Now, you are a mom, 4 kids, very busy. What are the ages of your kids?
So we have Oliver, who's 9, Nicholas, 7, Jasper, 5, and then my little girl, Amelia, who's 2.
9 to 2. That's gotta be busy.
It is definitely busy.
And you decided that you wanted to do something to make a difference in the world. Why did you decide that you were the person that could do it? You know, is there something about you or your family that you just thought, yeah, I can do this?
Yes, I mean, you never think, oh, I'm gonna make a difference, like this is gonna happen. But my dad always said, you know, if you want God to use you, you have to get into the river. So there's a river moving, and standing on the sidelines, you're not gonna go anywhere and nothing's gonna happen. So I just thought, okay, I'll get in the river and see where it takes me. And here I am.
Yeah, exactly. And this all started with watching a movie. You know, something as like, you know, unexpected as watching a movie. You watch Taken, which is about a North American girl who is kidnapped into a trafficking ring and sold into the sex trade. And what happened when you watched that movie?
Yeah, I mean, you ask God to break your heart for the things that breaks his, but you don't expect him to do it watching Liam Neeson. So I just was watching, and I was very ignorant to the sex trade and how huge it is and what a billion-dollar industry it is. And so I was bawling during the movie. I sat in the parking lot just completely disturbed. Couldn't sleep that night, so I went online and Googled help with sex trade. And the first organization that came up was one called International Justice Mission. So they go by IJM. And I mean, reading everything that they do, from risking their lives to go into the brothels to rescue the girls, to then providing lawyers that go after the perpetrators, to compassion homes where they take care of the girls after they've rescued them. I mean, they're just such a well-rounded organization. So yeah, I mean, I was sold. No pun intended. But yeah, I just was like, wow, what an incredible organization. So I knew I had to do something. But then as a stay-at-home mom, you kind of feel like your hands are tied and what the heck am I gonna do? I emailed some of the people from IJM, and there's not a lot of volunteer opportunity as far as in the field. Like if you're a lawyer, yes, or if you're a police officer, yes, there's things you can do. So
it's extremely sensitive, and so it's hard to just drop people in because you're dealing with really severely victimized people and you need expertise.
You need expertise, yeah. So I'm a violin teacher. As far as I know, no one needed violin lessons. So,
hey, music therapy is something.
Actually, yes, that's a good point. So yeah, I mean, you just kind of hold these things loosely in prayer. You pray, God, please use me in this. This is breaking my heart. And so I'm a big thinker, big dreamer. And I thought, okay, well, maybe I'll become a lawyer then. So I texted my husband. I'm like, I think I'm going to be a lawyer. And he just knows me so well by now that he just wrote back. He's like, okay, babe. And
meanwhile, you're in Chatham. There's no university in your town. You have 4 children that are keeping you crazy busy.
Yeah. So, so I soon quickly realized that wasn't going to be an option, and I looked into politicians, and like I'm a bit crazy. But anyhow,
you wanted to do something. That's really what happened.
Something. And it was just, this is the whole point of, I think, this segment is just do what you can. So I was thinking brothels, broth for brothels. And then it just kind of, I was like, okay, well, it's not as big. It probably won't make that much money, but I'll just make soup and, you know, I'll put it on my status and see if I can get some orders. And I'll donate that money. And that's just gonna have to be what it is, because every other big idea that I wanted to do wasn't obviously happening. So, so I put it on my Facebook, and 24 hours later, I had 100 orders, so 100 pots of soup to make.
At $20 a pot?
$20 a pot. And at the time, we were living in a really, really small house, so I had like probably this much counter space. So yeah, it was definitely God saying, just not by your might or your power, but my spirit. And I learned that, and it was humbling to be a part of something that I didn't think was going to be really anything, and then to be able to raise. My goal was just to raise however much. I thought maybe a couple $100s, but then after I saw all these and orders from people I didn't know, I just was like, okay, well, this is bigger than I thought. Maybe I'll set a goal of $5,000, or for it, the $4,500 to $5,000 is how much it costs to do an entire rescue mission. So for them to go in, get the girls, a year of healing, lawyers, that costs roughly $5,000. So I thought, okay, that'll be my goal. If I could pay for a rescue mission, that would be really cool. And so the first campaign I did, my church rallied around me. They held a cafe night, and then really cool, this other girl who I didn't even know called, and she said, I love this soup. Like, can I get the recipe? And I'm like, I'm just little this, little that. So I tried to remember what I had put in the soup, wrote it down, and she's like, I'm really good at making cookbooks. So I would love to make this into a beautiful cookbook and sell it. So
this is like crazy. Like, you just started with making a little bit of soup, right? And let me just say this: you were in a kitchen where you had like what, 2 feet of counter space on either side of your stove. So we're not talking like a gourmet kitchen here. You're just like 4 children under your feet trying to make all the soup. How many pots of soup did you make in the end?
Oh God, I think it was like 122 at the end for the first campaign, and then I didn't know the next fall. Everyone's like, oh, we're so excited for the soup campaign. I was like, okay, I guess we're doing this again. So then it just kind of became a thing.
So you had this idea, $4,500 you wanted to raise at least, and that was going to basically fund an entire rescue operation, including rehabilitating the girls and prosecuting the perpetrators. It was like a package deal that IGM kind of said, we think it costs about this much.
Yeah.
So did you make that?
Yeah, really cool. So after the cafe night, the lady, Jackie Bolcha, her name is, that made these cookbooks, she brought them to the cafe night, and it was around Christmas time, if I'm not mistaken, so people were buying them. They made great teacher gifts, and it was a good time of year to campaign. But she, including her contribution from the cookbook, we ended up that night making $4,300. And I was like, awesome. You know, I really wanted to make $4,500. But that's great. Like, God, this is all way more than I thought in the first place, so I'm happy. Well, I got home, and the phone rings, and there was a girl said, I didn't get a chance, but I wanted to make a donation. I've got a $200 check here for you. And so, yeah.
Perfect. $4,500. I remember you said to me before the show, you said, it isn't like God to like take you almost there.
Yeah, it didn't feel, I was like, God, normally you're, more than you can imagine. And so I was like, 43. So yeah, it was just really cool. And then I was able to announce at the church, like, we wanted to raise $4,500, and to the penny, it was $4,500.
And the cookbook raised another $1,000 for the cause.
Yeah, well, the cookbook still, I just had someone order 5 cookbooks yesterday. So people are, it's still, this was 3 years ago. So it's just ongoing, and nothing that I would ever have expected. And I'm just, humbled that God found something in me he could use.
And it's going on, right? You did something with peach, what was it? Peach crisps or peach?
Yeah, so the girl, Rachel from IJM, who I've gotten to know through email, one day I'm going to go to, they have a Canadian office in London. I would love to go and meet them because I feel like I know them all. They're wonderful
now they know
people.
you. Everybody knows you now.
Yeah, they're absolutely amazing. So she contacted me and she said, we have an anonymous donor who would like to match any gifts that come in the next 4 weeks. So if you're planning on doing a campaign, now would be a great time because it will be matched. So I wasn't planning on doing a campaign, but it's always God's ideas, never ours. And so
you weren't even feeling like it in a way. Like, you were just not in a season where you felt like you could do another campaign in a way,
I was
right?
like, I'm kind of done with that. Like, I thought that God, that part of my, not life was done, but I was just like, okay, those campaigns, they were successful. Like, let's move on with the next thing. And And I was just like, oh, like it was summer. The kids were all home every day. My husband owns a landscaping company, so he's gone 7 days a
Crazy
week.
busy, yeah.
So I'm like, oh, okay, yes, I'll do it. And I'm like, okay, well, I'll just, I humbly say that I had a really poor attitude. I was like, all right, I'll just peach crisp, those are easy. I'll whip up, then I can say I did something. And so same thing, just order after order. And this time though, people were, because of just Chatham is a wonderful town. They just really rallied around me and they were so supportive. I had my first order come in and she said, I have a check for you for $5,000. I'd like to order a $5,000 peach crisp. So I'm like, okay, we'll chock full of peaches.
Wow.
And so then I had another $3,000 peach crisp come in, and by the end of it, people were just giving, and a lot of faithful customers from the Broth were like, anything you do, we just want to support you. And it was really touching just to feel the support.
Amazing. And you ended up raising $11,000, which was matched for 22.
Yeah.
And you know, we're just about out of time, but I don't want to finish this without, I just want you to talk to people out there who feel like they have such a heart of compassion, they want to do something, but they don't know what to do. How do they start that journey, or how do they overcome the challenges? Like you had 4 kids at home, husband at work every day, 7 days a week. Like what can you say?
I would say not to find your identity with what you do. First of all, I had to learn that. But to just, like my dad said, get into the river. What can you do? Can I cut my hair and sell it? And maybe see where that would take you. I would never have guessed that this is where I would be 3 years ago when I just was stirring some soup for a cause. You know, like you just don't know what God can do. So just start with what's in your hand, what's in your cupboards. If you like to cook, if you like to babysit. I have a friend who she's babysitting and all her proceeds are going to charity. So everyone has something. We're the body of Christ, and whether it's for charity or what you're doing, spreading the word about, like we all need each other. So it's really cool.
This is what I've learned, is that what I cannot do alone, together we can do. If everyone does their part, we really can change this world. I've seen it happen. You are making it happen. Thank you for all you're doing.
Thank you for having me.
So inspired by you, our everyday hero.
Thank you.